Hey everyone, welcome to the Doc May Diet Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brian May. Every episode, I strive to break down and talk about the most relevant health topics and give you the basics so you have what you need to know and understand in order to live a healthy and happy life. So if you're listening, thank you. And thank you for trusting me to guide you along your journey of personal health and wellness. Also, if you're listening, feel free to share my message. Go ahead and like and subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And also follow me on social media on Instagram and Facebook at Doc May Diet. Without further ado, let's get to today's episode. All right, welcome back, everybody. Doc May Diet Podcast, episode number 18. A little different today. Got my first guest on the podcast here, hosting at my office in Rittenhouse Square. Got my good friend, Ryan Janni, a.k.a. The Naked DJ. Follow him on Instagram. Guy's got a lot of good content out there, all positive stuff, good music. Guy, you know, the term woke has become a negative term nowadays, but he's awake to all the things that are really going on out there. The guy knows what stuff. He sees past the BS. He's reposting a lot of good accounts, a lot of good content. Give him a follow. Got his own podcast called Free Yourself Podcast. A lot of good guests on there. Well, let's get into it, man. So like we were just talking before the podcast, I haven't really seen you in a while, right? Like we hung out in college all the time. I saw you like once afterwards about 2 years ago. Didn't really get a whole lot of time to catch up, but you know, college was a long time ago, right? So how have you changed? What are some of the biggest things that have changed in your life since college, your outlook on things? Just break down basically, you know, your maturity level since then. Because I know I'm kind of almost, no, it's completely different person since college, but a lot of me has changed. So what about you has changed the most?
Well, first off, thank you so much for inviting me onto your podcast. This is a giant honor. Thank you for seeing something in me to be a guest on your podcast. That
always have, man. Always have.
that means that truly warms my heart, man. It's truly a blessing to be here. And even saying blessing, it almost has maybe it's my mind and my past, you know. It almost seems like it's got a negative connotation, like even religion and stuff is in today's
yeah, every word is like a landmine now.
Yeah. Like the one thing that I'm grateful of about is that I've been kind of the person who's like, I'm going to say what I'm going to say and then be like, well, look, this is how I meant, this is what I meant, this and explain myself. And and that's why I'm really hesitant to do things other than, you know, podcast form of talking about this type of thing.
Right. Because little quick bites could be taken so easily out of context.
Yeah. And even, you know, I've never been active on Twitter. There's so much poison out there.
Yeah.
But I also recognize like this wouldn't have happened if we hadn't connected so much on Instagram again. And
right.
And it makes it so easy for me to keep in touch with all the people that I know and love from past relationships and stuff.
And that's the thing about social media. It's like, I know like we both hate it so much sometimes, like we freaking hate it, but then we get to do like awesome stuff like this. And like we both learned a lot from social media, you know? So yeah, totally agree with you there.
And in terms, I actually just got this question from a girl who actually you might have known too. I'll keep her name out of it. I'll tell you after, but a girl you might know too, that was, I think she was a year younger than me, but at Westchester.
Okay.
And because we also, because of Instagram, reconnected after 10 years almost of not talking or seeing each other.
Yeah.
And now I have like someone that I consider one of my closest friends, and we haven't even hung out in I don't know how long, but we talk every day. And it's all because of Instagram. And
exactly.
And she asked me this question, like, how
Did she really?
yeah, like
Wow.
how she's like, I can't, it's crazy to think about, like, what was 10 years ago, Ryan? And
Yeah.
man, like to kind of make this story as short as possible and concise, like in college, I was kind of lost in the sense of the only time where I was really, really happy was when I was with other people partying, having a good time. And I don't always mean just when we were getting fucked up. I mean, hanging out at the house with all the boys, like,
Right.
or going
Right.
to the gym or going to, Lawrence,
Yeah. Yeah.
dining hall.
Anything. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but when I was alone, it was a dark spot. And the I am so much more comfortable now being alone than I was 10 years ago. And that to me is like the thing that I can point to the most as being like what I'm most grateful for
Yeah.
nowadays. Cause like I got to a point where like the partying kind of took over, and it didn't really help that I was also DJing. So the partying wasn't
Right.
even expensive because you get free tabs when you're
Yeah.
DJing and stuff.
Which, which
Um,
which most people look at as a perk to the job, but in your scenario, not so much.
yeah, a lot of times driving home after too. Like
Mm.
I'm grateful. Well, all right. So being able to be with myself is the thing that I'm second most grateful for. The first thing I'm most grateful for is that I'm even alive to have this
You're live,
conversation
right?
with you.
Right.
Like I saw this one video that this guy was talking about. He was like, all right, you woke up today. So what if I was to give you $1 million, but you can't wake up tomorrow? And you're like, no,
Not taking that deal.
like, of course not. And he was like, what about $10 million? And I'm like, and he's getting to the point. He's like, what about $100 million? He's like, $1 billion. He was like, so when you can get with the fact that just waking up today is worth more than anything material in the world, he's like, that will put you at a whole nother, like, in a whole nother state of mind
Wow.
for gratitude.
Man, that was great. I actually never heard that before.
I
That
just got chills.
I got chills too, man. Dude, that was really good. That's valuable
it,
right there, man.
I wish I
There's
could
no
tell
amount of
you.
money you could give to not wake up tomorrow. You can't even like create a number. That's insane.
It's unfathomable, and to put that and try and get your gratitude up to the level of that, man. When we can wake up every day and just be grateful, figure out how we can help people and give love, like, that's a complete life.
That is,
And
man.
So the person that I am today is it is an entirely different person than I was, 10 years ago in college. And I think it was 10, 8 years ago
Yeah.
that
Call
I
10. Yeah.
graduated.
Yeah.
Freaking mind blowing. But because I was not waking up. I was at the
Gratitude.
other direction. I
Right.
was not grateful to be waking up, and I was
Would
not
it be fair
happy.
to say that, if you had to nail it down to what changed the most, you could say you now accept yourself?
Absolutely. Acceptance is
Because
everything.
it sounded like beforehand you were just, it doesn't have to be drinking, getting fucked up like you said, but it was all distraction, right? Distraction from
Yeah.
you and yourself, because I guess you didn't like who you were when it was just you and yourself, right? You, yourself, and I.
Yeah, and it was I wouldn't say that I completely hated myself. I was only focusing on what other people around me said was what I was supposed to be, and focusing on things like Like, and I want to point this out, like at any given moment, I can fall back into this mindset, right? Like I haven't cured myself
Right.
of this thinking, right? It's a constant,
It takes work.
Exactly. It takes constant effort. And what's
Yeah, and
the,
hold on, not to interrupt, but I think why, and a good analogy is this is, you find a mate, you fall in love, you don't say, okay, we're in love, that's it, like we're done working, because that's a relationship with somebody else. The relationship with yourself works the same exact way. You finally accept yourself and you have love for yourself. It's not over at that point. It requires continuous maintenance and work.
exactly, because at any given day, I can beat myself up for, waking up a little bit later than I should have, or not getting all the things that I wanted to get done in one day done. And how do we gain self-esteem? Well, we do esteemable things, right? Like that is, it's very important. So being productive is a big part of that. And
Absolutely.
and so I had to like dial it back and figure out, all right, how do I get to the point where I can fully accept myself? Well, from what I've learned from Dr. Mark Gordon, I listened to a couple podcasts that he was on, and he what he does is studies veterans with PTSD and figures out how can we, without giving a bunch of, just numbing them with drugs,
right,
how can we help them? And what he's found out is through things like quercetin, magnesium, and zinc, and you combine all of that to reduce the inflammation in the brain and the body, and to eliminate processed foods and eliminate all things that aren't natural. I don't want to say paleo, but he's found a lot of success with
paleo-ish.
Paleo.
Yeah.
And so this was like even just a year and a half ago when COVID hit, I completely switched up my diet. Like I was already eating really healthy, but I had asthma, I had eczema. At any given time I can deal with depression. And my mood it fluctuates. I have very high highs and then very low lows. I wouldn't say I'm bipolar,
Peaks
but
and valleys.
Someone who's a psychiatrist might diagnose that. So how do we even that out? Well, it starts with food, right? It starts with water. It starts with just getting in the sun. It starts with exercise. Like
basic biology, right?
Yeah, like who would have thought? Like,
yeah, man. Yeah, depression, inflammation and depression are so heavily linked now that inflammation is literally considered the leading cause of depression. Especially in cases where they don't respond to medication, because the medication only masks the depression. It doesn't actually treat the inflammation in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly. And it's not to say that, I'm someone who has found a lot of, like, just my own anecdotal experiences. Like I've found a lot of experience with just all natural foods and, things like magnesium glycinate and zinc picolinate. Like I'm not getting it enough from food. So I am supplementing it, but I'm not someone who takes medications. I won't take Advil. I won't take Aleve. If I have pain, I need to address what the pain is coming from, not mask it with that.
Exactly.
There's a lot of people with mental health that have found help with some of those medications, but I don't quote me on this, but like on the CDC website, like the leading cause of death is doctors prescribing the wrong medicines and stuff like that.
Number 3.
Okay, so pretty fucking close, right?
Yeah.
So
at least it was last when I was in school. That was the third leading cause.
It's crazy. And
my take on that is, if you have to do that, if it's just so bad and it helps get through, helps, ease it a little bit, sure. But realize it's not the long-term solution.
Yes. I forget who was talking about it, but they were talking about how like it can, the medications from the doctors can help someone to be able to get out of bed so that they can now address the things like exercise, sunlight, but then once they get, the job they're proud of, the living conditions are stable enough.
Once they're able to do what you said earlier and create these esteemable actions, you have to get to that point. Then once you get that and you build and you build and you wean off and then you learn stuff like we're learning now, like depression and anti-inflammatory foods help that, and supplements, 100%, man, 100%. Now, there are definitely people who are, predisposed to things like this and have a family history. Like, I'm not saying like everybody starts off on an equal foot, but there's always a hope out there that, medication is necessary. Thank God we have it, but there's always hope that you can get to the point where you don't really need it, and you can manage it through lifestyle and diet and gratitude. Like you mentioned, like we started off this podcast with. That's a huge one too, man.
Gratitude and love. Everything.
I say that a lot enough.
Oh, dude. I love Duncan Trussell so freaking much. He's a comedian, but his podcasts are all about mindfulness. And so while I'm working today, I'm listening to a couple of his podcasts, and he had guys like Raghu Marcus and what's his name? The guy who was the pioneer of LSD, that was a Harvard, Timothy Leary's son he had on the podcast. So and now I was trying to think of that so much. Where was I going? Oh, he always just talks about mindfulness and meditation and that's what a lot of his podcasts and stuff are about. And where was I going with that? Gratitude and love. So he was talking about on one of those podcasts that everything around us is literally love. And because if that's true, then the only reason why we don't feel love is because we don't have love for ourselves. But once we can love ourselves, we can unlock the rest of the love in the world. And then it's like an infinite orgasm of love. Like, I totally, that's not direct quotes and stuff.
No, not that's not the most like eloquent way to put it, but the most succinct, I would say.
Right? The way I can make sense of it with my sense of humor and
sensibilities.
Yeah. So
where does everything that you're doing, like, you're doing a podcast, you're doing content creation, you're a DJ, you're really into health and fitness. How do all of those things kind of coincide? And what is the common denominator of all those things? Would you say it's gratitude?
I love this question so much. And shout out to one of my two coaches, Sean Nixon, and his podcast partner host, Jonathan Matthew. They have the Bridge podcast, and they call it the Bridge because everything is connected, right? And so if I have any sorts of feelings of depression, well, that's connected to maybe I wasn't eating right, maybe I didn't sleep well, maybe maybe I wasn't as productive I wanted to be. Maybe I didn't go out in the sun because I was working so much. I just got caught up in everything that I was doing.
Some biological variable, right?
Yeah. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I was on my 2-day rest period for my heavy lifting, program. And so, all right, now I can be aware. These are all the things and reasons why I might be feeling this way. So how can because if I don't get out of that, like, I'm not going to be productive, right? So how it's going to affect if I'm feeling down, if I'm feeling any sort of way, like that could hurt my music. It could also help my music because there's a lot of a lot of
you're
artists
playing with
creatively.
fire there, though.
Exactly.
A lot of artists
exactly.
who make their best music when they're depressed. I mean, it doesn't end up well sometimes.
Yeah, there's a reason why the Forever 27 Club is a thing.
Yeah,
and,
Kurt Cobain. Yeah,
dude. I mean, so many. Jimi Hendrix, freaking
Jimmy died
Jim
that time.
Morrison, freaking. The list is freaking. It's nuts, and then to also think like, oh my God, all those artists did all of that incredible music before they were 27 years old. Like,
yeah, right.
I feel like I'm just hitting my stride at 31.
Yeah, right.
Like,
I know.
It's like just coming together. So
that's why everybody knows their names.
Yeah, exactly. And so to sum this all up and answer your question, like all of it affects the other thing. So if I need my diet to be right, I need to be exercising, I need to get out into the sun. All of that will make better interactions and relationships with everybody that comes into contact with me. So then that will bring positivity into my life, right? And then I can have say it's not even depression that's holding me back from getting into music. It's just tired because I've been working so hard.
Fatigue, yeah.
Exercise and eating right and cold showers and all these things can give me the energy.
Maybe even less exercise. You could be overtraining. It could be the other way. Yeah.
Because there's everything is better in moderation is something that I have learned the hard way and
me too.
Can struggle with at any given time. Like none of these things, everything, like we said before, like everything takes effort. So I need my diet to be right. I need my exercise to be right. I need to be drinking enough water.
Mm-hmm.
Most people can fix so many of their problems just by breathing through their nose and drinking enough water. Like those two things can change someone's life.
Let's talk about some of those things. What are some things like specifically, I think people know more about water intake. What are some things real quick, like stopping the mouth breathing and just nose breathing can help?
So there's this, I forget his name, but the book is called Breathe, right? And I listened, I didn't read the book, I'm not going to lie, but I listened to him talk about it and he's the author. So,
there you go. Straight from the horse's mouth.
Right. Exactly. So things that he was talking about, and this was right at the beginning of COVID. And, back then I didn't know as much as I did now about everything that's been going on. So like, I think most of us, I was scared. Right.
Yeah. I was scared too. We didn't know whether this was going to wipe out half the planet or what the hell was going to happen. So, yeah.
Yeah. And thank God I had Sean Nixon to kind of reel me in and be like, look, there's no sense living in fear because fear is also going to lower your immune system. And it's the vibration of fear. Literally, everything's energy. So it's just going to lower your vibration, lower your immune system. And you're not going to be able to fight off anything.
Your thoughts become things. And that's Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief. He has a whole entire 300 pages with Harvard backed studies backing all of this. If you guys want more information on that, but go ahead.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. And so I was listening to this whoever wrote the book Breathe talk on a podcast, and he was talking about how switching to breathing in through the nose 6 seconds and out through the nose 6 seconds, in through the nose, out through the nose, 6 seconds out, in, 6 seconds out. There's multiple cases and studies that show it literally changes your molecular structure. It increases bone density in your skull. It will strengthen your jawline, and it can get rid of asthma. It can get rid of allergies. It can get rid of eczema. It can get rid of any a whole bunch of autoimmune function or diseases. And because what we're doing when we're when you're breathing in through your nose, your body needs CO2, right? Like we all assume
a certain degree. Yeah. I think it's like something like 12, 13%, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's something along those lines where I think most people think like we breathe in air, right? And we breathe out the CO2 because we only need the oxygen. And it's like we need
There's a
some of
balance.
both.
Right. Right.
And because all of the red blood cells need a little bit of CO2 to also help bring the oxygen and the nutrients to the body. So it literally changes your molecular, makeup of your body. And
Right.
all I can tell you is that from my personal experience, not just switching to nasal breathing every time I'm driving, I'm just like getting ready in the morning, I'm in the shower, I'm every time I realize I'm breathing, focus 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out. I did this. I started taking 800 milligrams of magnesium glycinate and 50 milligrams of zinc picolinate every night. And I started taking I just breathed in through my mouth. You saw that? And I started taking a grass-fed beef liver supplement in the morning, along with vitamin D3/K2, but sublingually, because a lot of people that are taking vitamin D, they're taking the pills, but your stomach acid is too strong and it destroys it before it gets to your intestines where it can be absorbed. So it's very important to be taking it sublingually just so you're absorbing it.
Yeah.
Now, so
if you're going to invest your money in it, make sure you're actually getting the right stuff out of it.
Exactly. So it's nighttime. It was magnesium and zinc. In the mornings, it was beef liver, vitamin D. I completely cut out all inflammatory foods. So that means I went down to just grass-fed beef, sweet potatoes, apples, bananas, and then I was having a salad that was just iceberg lettuce, carrots, celery, coconut vinegar, and a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and a little bit of hemp seed oil, and then shit ton of pink Himalayan sea salt, black and white pepper, and turmeric.
Yep, turmeric.
That was my diet for 90 days, and at the end of the 90 days, I no longer, and along with the nasal breathing, no longer had asthma, no longer had eczema, no longer had no longer was dairy intolerant, no longer was gluten intolerant.
Wow.
No longer even that's incredible. So if there's anything else,
to go on. Yeah.
It changed my life so much. Seasonal allergies gone.
Wow. Really?
I can play with my friend's cat now.
Seasonal allergies is a big one.
Yeah.
Because, people don't think that's a big deal, but dude, that shit sucks. That really does. Like that'll mess you up. And like, even if it's like just like a week, like that week at work sucks. Everything else, your relationship sucks that week. Like everything, like we talked about it, it's all connected to the Bridge podcast. Like it brings everything down. So that matters. That's a hard thing to treat. So that's big. That's big time.
And all of those things contributed to that. So I can't tell you that if you just switch to nasal breathing, you'll get rid of your asthma. You'll get I eliminated all inflammatory and processed foods. I started taking supplements that even with the food, I was not going to be able to get enough of because we don't drink natural spring water from 500 years ago before we started poisoning everything. And
there's a reason we need supplements. Even the soil, like even a vegetable, is not nearly as nutritious as it was before we started all this factory and commercial farming. Like the soil is just derived now of all these nutrients. And I mean, and even the food itself has been genetically modified to high hell, not even unnaturally, but even naturally, because us as humans like the sweeter taste. So like the taste of an apple today, even if it's organic, is like, I think it was like 330 times as sweet as like an apple back in like the 1800s. Basically, like if one of our like great ancestors bit into an apple today, like they would like their heads would explode with how sugary it tasted. So everything is changing. So supplements are becoming more and more vital.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's the perfect example of one thing that used to be so good for us and now is so poisonous to us is our soybeans and edamame. Like soy now is poison and is literally giving men man boobs and just raising our estrogen levels.
And lowering
Whereas
testosterone.
in China, if you get, or in Asia in general, if you get their naturally grown soy and tofu and stuff like that, like it's good and it's healthy for you.
Right.
Right.
And this is just another reason why it's honestly in this country, it's so damn hard to be healthy. There's so many things working against you. If you don't arm yourself with knowledge and then turn that knowledge into action, you're going to become a statistic one way or the other. And that sucks.
The lies that we have to, and that's the thing, because you can do research and you can just come across the lies that are out there. And
here's even the thing about research. Like, look, research is the end all be all. Like, you need it. Like, it's super important. I can't preach enough. Everything I speak to comes from research. But when it comes to research, especially nutritional research, first of all, the field of nutrition is a baby. It's super young.
Yeah.
But on top of that, you got to look at who's funding this research. Is this pro sugar study funded by the sugar industry? Well, yeah, that actually happened. There's corn and big corn funding all of these studies. Like, it's just such a muddled mess that sometimes when it comes to nutrition and research, you almost got to just ignore it, because there's going to be a research indicating you shouldn't eat meat. There's research indicating you should eat meat. I'm not to get into that right now, but if you have a preconceived notion, I guarantee you could find a research paper to back that. So you almost have to throw that away and then and go back to what makes sense and how did our ancestors eat when we evolved. That is, if you can get that approach, if you could look at nutrition instead of the lens of research through the lens of what made sense in accordance with evolutionary biology, you're going to do better than most people.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important for people to look to someone like you, someone like Sean, people that have done all this research and done it themselves and can show you the results of what they're doing, but then also can have already sifted through all the lies and propaganda that's out there. I love all of your tests that you're doing, all of your content is just hitting the nail on the head with all this stuff. And you can tell that you're so well read in all of this stuff. And it makes so much sense because you went into to become a chiropractor. Like, that also is a huge part of it, because all the nerves and start in the spine, right? And so but
tie it all together, man.
People, there's a lot of, dude, let's face it, like, you being a chiropractor, there's a lot of people that say it's bullshit, right?
Oh yeah.
But it's one of the only things that's real. Like, acupuncture, another huge thing that's helped me. And I can't believe I didn't mention before, also in that 90-day period, I was meditating for a half hour every morning. I was doing acupuncture once a week, and focusing on working in energy as much as I was focusing working out energy, which was a very simple way that it was explained to me by, again, Sean Nixon. We focus, so many people, we get into fitness, right? And we focus so much on, we have to grind, we have to work hard, we have to do all this, but they forget we have to sleep 8 hours. We have to freaking drink at least, I can't stress this enough, at least a gallon of water a day. like I drink 4 bottles of water during my workouts alone. Or whatever that equates to.
Mhm.
And I've already definitely drinking a gallon of water before I even break my fast. Like because that's how we filter. People talk about all these detox, freaking just water.
Yes, yeah,
water.
yeah, exactly. Right. Don't spend $300 on the latest detox kit on this infomercial. Just drink some damn water, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
And
So true, man.
So people that deal with chapped lips, people that deal with dry skin, people that deal with thin hair that's damaged and stuff, guarantee they don't drink enough water. You hydrate. Your body needs it. Your body needs, what are we, 70% water? And so
73, I think.
73. And what about the earth? Is that about 70% water?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's connected, because we're all
there?
the earth and we're all the same thing.
Is there a connection there? That's interesting, isn't it? So you mentioned the grass-fed beef. I wanted to talk to you about, obviously a common topic today is the carnivore diet. Have you tried it?
I absolutely have tried it. And
what were your experiences?
So it was summer 2019. I was competing in a powerlifting competition in September, and I needed to lose 20 pounds. And I had heard Jordan Peterson and Sean Baker and a couple other people who had seen so many great results. Like Jordan Peterson talks about, he got rid of his gingivitis and
his
lost
daughter.
So much weight.
You heard about his daughter, Michaela?
Oh, all her autoimmune issues and stuff. And I'm like, well, I have asthma and eczema, and so like let's try carnivore.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was, for 3 months leading up to the competition, I also needed to lose 20 pounds. I went full carnivore, and I was just eating, it was like a pound and a half to 2 pounds of beef a day, drinking a shit ton of water, adding a shit ton of salt to all of that. Excuse me. And it was incredible. It was the first time in my life where I experienced no asthma, no eczema, none of these autoimmune issues, and lost the 20 pounds and freaking set a New Jersey state record in deadlift for my weight class. So
you had a pretty positive experience with it.
Yeah. So I liked it a lot. And it was also very tough. My sister's a vegan, so we were butting heads about it. And back then I was very much on the carnivore is the way. Like, I was all in on it.
Okay. Because hey, here's the thing. Here's why. You were feeling so damn good. You're setting records in the gym. I mean, why wouldn't you be, right?
Exactly. I was able to, not only did I and this was also 2 years after, or the competition was 1 year and 8 months. No, 2 years and 8 months after I tore my ACL. Ooh. So I was also dealing with, constant nagging knee pain, and it was because of also inflammation and all this stuff. And so inflammation was down. Like I wouldn't say that I was like crazy energetic, because, like, to be honest, the workouts were tough because I had no carbs.
Right.
But excuse me. So since then, I've found that, big shocker here, balance is very important, and moderation is very important.
Yep.
And my nutrition today looks a lot different than carnivore, but it's still, what's most important to me is regeneratively farmed, grass-fed. It has to come from ethically farmed, and it has to be grass-fed. Like I can't control if I'm out to eat. Right. But if I can usually tell kind of by looking at it and the taste of it, you know, but so I'm not.
Let me ask you a question then, because we've talked before about, meat. Is the meat production, is it bad for the planet? Is it not? And my general consensus is that its impact on the planet isn't insignificant, but to say that we can save the planet by not eating meat is not true. It's BS. So I know you're nodding your head. You agree with that. We don't need to go into that, but I want to ask you if you could explain regenerative agriculture more, and how can we move into that? And is it really an option? Can we convert hypothetically all these big commercial factory farms where they got cows like lined up like butt to butt? Like, is there hope for the future? Is it a sustainable model? Can we do that?
So it's that's the question, right? Like that's it's tough,
right?
Because we have so many people,
Yeah,
right?
to feed.
Now, so take it all the way back to like there's so many mouths to feed. Well, I forget who did the calculation, but $20 billion can end world hunger. Like world hunger, not American hunger, world hunger. So that just like makes me mad, because the money's there and we spend trillions of dollars on war and all this stuff, and
right
because ending world hunger,
because we're humans and we're imperfect, yeah.
But factory farming is, the only way I can describe it is like it's the ultimate sin against these animals. Like it is so terrible what they're doing to animals in factory farming situations.
How
right?
can you disagree with that?
Yeah. Like I agree with vegans. Yes. It is so, I love animals. It is horrifying what they're doing to animals.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a reason why every civilization, not every, right? Because again, it's in balance and moderation, but there's a reason why, I guess we have to call them indigenous people now, right? That's Native Americans, Indians, whatever you want to call them. Indigenous people that lived in North America, they followed the buffalo, right? They weren't people where they just settled in one area. Like they followed the herds of buffalo, right?
Right.
So that points to something. There are plenty of examples of civilizations of people that do carnivore, but there's like people that lived up in the friggin' in Canada, like way up north, where there's no greenery, right?
Like Alaska, like the Inuit, like they had to survive off whale blubber. Like they had nothing else. Nothing's growing up there.
Yeah. So, but then there's also plenty of examples like in Asia and stuff of different civilizations that live just off the land. And so one thing I can say is it's very hard to picture a world where we are all growing our own food, have our own chickens, have our own cattle, and still have time to make a living and work and all, because that there's a reason why farmers, that's their job. Like there's a reason why.
Right. We can't just, all step in a time machine and be like, okay, all I need is my farm. Like, no, we need to pay bills.
Yeah. And back in those days where that's all there was, right? Where there was civilizations, and then they had their farmers, and they had everyone that did a certain job in the group of people in that civilization. And there was so many less people in the world.
Yeah.
So then that was the sustainable way to live. Now, there's a lot of advancements that I'm very grateful for, like plumbing and being able to shower daily. Like,
right. It's not all bad.
But for anybody who is privileged enough to have social media, see this podcast, I can tell you that you are privileged enough to only shop from regeneratively farmed farms. There's no question about that, because we're not everyone's not going to be able to have the means to do all of this, right? But
Right.
like, I'm guessing someone who sees this podcast and is on Instagram, like you probably have, it's probably a lot easier than you think to just get grass-fed beef at the grocery store, because they sell it at all the grocery stores, at least in my experience. Like, you don't have to shop at the overpriced, things that send you meat, which I'm not going to mention any names of it because I just said they're overpriced, but like, you can find ways. Right. And at the very least, because people are going to say, oh, well, it's expensive to get grass-fed and organic and all this stuff. Well, you know what else is expensive? Medical bills in the future, when you get the effects of eating all the processed shit that's cheap. So pick your poison. Like,
you're paying now, you're paying later.
Exactly. So is it sustainable for everybody in the world to eat regeneratively farmed meat? And when I say that, what that means is cows are eating the grass and then pooping, and then you can plant, because what is the cow shit? That's freaking fertilizer. It's fertilizing, making the soil rich in nutrients again, so you can plant more grass. And that's why it's called regenerative farming. It's the circle of life with the cows eat it and they put fertilizer down.
And they're also walking around. And so like the grass has chance to actually regenerate too, because the way I learned it, you got to like actually move the cattle a lot. And that way the grass, like they're moving in a circle essentially. They start here, they eat, and then they crap, and they move along, and then like as they're moving into the next spot, that grass is regrowing, and it kind of just becomes this big happy circle essentially.
Exactly. So like, you do need a lot of land to do this too.
Right. That's a problem. So,
but how do we? I forget who said it on what podcast, but it was a very biologist or environmentalist. Someone said there's only like 60 harvests left in the soil that we have now. So what is a way to prevent that from? So anybody that says we got to just stop eating meat, well, we can only harvest 60 more times, right? So there's the other option.
Yeah,
right?
we're gonna have to come together eventually on a solution. Yeah.
So in order to solve that, what do we need? We need better soil, right? Because that's why there's only 60. All right, so how do we do that? Well, the cows eat the grass, they poop, they make better soil. Like,
that's right. So it all comes together, guys. At the end of the day, carnivores, vegans, we all need to work together, essentially.
Yeah, we all want the same things. We want the animals to be treated well, and we want to not deal with any of the problems of processed foods, right? Like, that's why so many vegans see such good results, because that's why so many carnivores, everyone just stops eating shit. Right. They stop eating processed foods.
Once you get off the standard American diet, great things happen.
Yeah, no matter what you choose. And
yeah, exactly.
I forget, I wish I remembered the people who said this stuff, but someone said, like, what's the best diet? And it's the one you're going to follow.
Yeah.
Like, because you'll see great results doing keto. You'll see great results going vegan. You'll see great results going carnivore. I've seen great results doing an elimination diet and then slowly adding things back. Like
paleo and anti-inflammatory, you name it.
Yeah. Yep. It's all about consistency in whatever you do.
That brings me to my next point, was something that I noticed, first of all, like when I first got on social media and doing the podcast and put myself out there and following other accounts like me, was the infighting in the nutrition world between, basically, at the end of the day, the if it fits your macros crowd, right? Versus where I came to nutrition from as the quality matters and calories don't really matter so much. But now I'm kind of trying to blend them together, but it's just crazy how one side is completely blinded to the other. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you notice that as well on social media? Two political camps, essentially?
Yeah, literally today, this guy that I've known for a long time, we went to high school together. He went through his own journey of getting decently heavy, and then now he's like a really good nutritionist, and he's ripped and shredded and doing bodybuilding and not doing steroids, which you can, everyone has their own opinion on steroids. Again, everything,
Yeah.
whatever. He's doing it all with nutrition. And he put up a post that he was like, it was Diet Dr. Pepper. It was like 0 sugar, 0 calories. And like, this is great because it tastes great, and it'll fit your macros because it's no sugar and all this. And like in my school of thought, that's poison. If it fits your macros school of thought, that's gold, because now you got this sweet, tasty drink that you can fit into if it fits your macros. But what I see is carbonation, which is not that good for you. I see artificial sweeteners, which again, there's studies that say it causes cancer. There's study that it's safe for you.
Right.
I'm at the school of thought it's not real and from the earth, so I don't see how my body doesn't know how to digest it.
You're taking a basic, simple approach, which is does it fit evolutionary biology? Probably not. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I've seen massive results with fixing my gut through that elimination diet and drinking kombucha, yerba mate, black coffee, and water. And those are the only things that I really drink.
Right.
And I've seen great results from it. So that's where I'm at with it. But someone who, doesn't deal with any autoimmune issues and, all, great. Like if
go for it. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like if you eat something and you don't get bubble guts, you don't, have problems in the bathroom, you don't get asthma, you don't get eczema, all these other things, like, good for you. Yeah. I don't have that. Right. If I eat certain things, like my body doesn't like it. My body loves me being all natural. So,
but to play devil's advocate to that, I mean, can we really sit here and say, well, go for you if it doesn't bother you? Or if we know they're eating these foods that don't align with evolutionary biology, for example, they're eating a lot of processed bread, for example, like, okay, they're getting away with it for now, but are they just setting themselves up for failure down the road? We don't know. I'm sure there are, people with different ethnicities that actually could get away with bread their whole entire life and not have any issues. I mean, it depends where they're getting their bread from. If you're in Italy and you're eating bread and your pasta, you're probably fine. But if you're eating that diet over here, probably not. So
yeah.
So I guess I could see where the heads can butt there. But at the end of the day, calories are king in terms of fat loss and weight loss. But there's so much more to health than just fat loss too, right? And calories in and calories out if it fits your macros. But yeah, I was just stunned to see how one camp can be so blind to the other, because I think it's just as stupid to say you never need to count calories. Who cares what you're eating as long as it's on this certain diet protocol? Yeah,
it's tough because like you said, the scope of nutrition in general is very young. Like we're just scratching the surface with the science to back up the things that we're saying. And then also, like you said before, the people that are funding the research that want to get they're funding it because they want a certain answer.
They want an outcome.
Yeah. And they don't want what I want to sell is bad outcome. No. They want what I want to sell is good outcome.
Right.
So all I know, I heard another, great quote that I heard was, stick to protein and produce, stick to the outside of the grocery store.
Yep.
I think that was Jocko Willink. I think he said that. And what was the one that I just heard the other day? Well, if you just follow those, that I think you're great with just those. But there's so much propaganda out there, and there's so many people that are trying to sell you things. Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. If the food has a marketing team, it's probably bad for you.
I like that one. I like that one.
So
yeah, it's just tough, man, because I'm trying to marry with my stuff, because I'm based off my interests and where all my things kind of coalesce and bridge together. I'm trying to marry the anti-inflammatory, evolutionary biology way of eating with, let's talk about nutrition and fitness and working out and muscle gain. And sometimes those camps going to be like any further apart. So I'm trying to bring them together. Like we could have both, right? We can eat good quality food and still realize that at the end of the day, if fat loss or muscle gain is our goal, calories need to be accounted for.
Absolutely. And like, I'm someone who needs to stay in the 165-pound weight class.
Yeah.
So I'm right now, I fluctuate. Like if I don't focus so much on my nutrition and how much and portion out and stuff, I probably walk around at 170, 175. But I want to compete at 165 because my numbers in the 165-pound weight class are way better than if I hit those numbers in the 181 or 183-pound weight class. Like, there's a big difference in strength in that. And
so you're doing that too. You're marrying both worlds together.
And what I've found the most success is eating the most natural foods possible. And that also goes into the supplements. That's why I only take magnesium glycinate because it's naturally sourced. I only take zinc picolinate because it's naturally sourced. Like I only eat, I don't just get a beef liver supplement. I get a grass-fed beef liver supplement. Like I know where my supplements are even coming from. It's not just my food and so many people are caught up in, and this is where a lot of people, I think, get tripped up. If it doesn't taste good, I don't want it. Whereas I've retrained myself to be, what are the benefits of this thing?
Yeah.
Where did it come from?
Yep.
Then how do I make it taste good?
Exactly.
Or is it tolerable?
Right.
So like, I don't eat all the processed sugars and foods that have all the jacked up fake not salt sodium and preservatives. That's the word. So my salt intake, and plus being someone who exercises a lot, I'm getting rid of a lot of salt through the exercise.
To replenish it. Yeah.
I'm adding pink Himalayan sea salt. And when I tell you, like when I cook the beef that I eat, like it's so salty and I love that and I need it. But if I'm telling someone who eats like crap to now overly salt your beef when you eat, like it could be bad. So it has to be, everything's connected, like we said before, and it has to be, that's why just the word diet in the English language comes from the Greek or Latin term dieta. And dieta doesn't mean what you eat. It means way of life. So your nutrition, your diet is not just what you're taking in through your food. It's everything that you're taking in. It's your entire way of life. It's all the media, all the social media, all the news, everything
you consume.
Yeah, everything you consume. There you go. That's the right word I was looking for.
Yeah.
So
I think you hit a good point earlier. You almost had like a list going there of what you go through mentally when you're choosing a food option, right? I think your first one was like, how does this fit me biologically? And how can I make it taste good, right? Or how does it taste? So I think what most people get wrong is that they almost feel like a bit of a right, or they're owed the fact to prioritize taste all the time. Like, I only want to eat what tastes good. Like, there is a time for that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, health and nutrition isn't always a top priority when I'm eating. It is the majority of the time. If I'm out to eat special events, like, there comes a time for that, right?
Yeah.
I think we need to reverse that. I think people only 10% of the time think about, is it good for me? And 90% of the time are thinking about, how good is this going to taste? When they need to reverse that.
Yeah.
90% of the time you should be thinking, how does this benefit me biologically? Whereas 10% of the time you're thinking, okay, forget about that for now. Let's eat some good food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a big problem as well. And I think that comes back into another question I want to ask you about, which was intuitive eating. That's something that's, I think, gaining popularity as well. What are your thoughts on that?
So I'm not quite sure. Can you explain?
So basically, intuitive eating is touting a way of just not tracking anything, not subscribing to any diet.
So listening to your body.
Listening to your body, yes.
Okay. So I do that because what I've done is figure out, all right, what is the bulk of my nutrition, and I know I can't overeat this certain amount, but if I'm, if I've got a big, like my program is a 4-day split. It's squat and bench, deadlift and bench, squat and bench, deadlift and bench. And there's a break in between those two. So I got 2 days working out, 1 day rest, 2 days working out, 2 days rest. And with that on, my last meal of the day, because, or I'm either going to work out right in the morning, right? Or I'm going to work out after work, right? So I know whatever that last meal was before the workout, I'm jacking up the carbs because I know I need that energy. Mm-hmm. Now, people could take that the wrong way and could say, okay, I'm going to eat a shit ton of shit and because then my calories up, my carbs are up. But so what's the smart way to do it? Well, say I'm working out after work. I'm going to fast probably till like 1, 2 o'clock, drinking a gallon of water in that time. In that fast, I'll take my beef liver supplement, my vitamin D, some CBD oil, and then alpha GPC, lion's mane type of stuff, and yerba mate. So it's not a complete water fast. So I still get, vitamins and nutrients.
Right.
So then I'm going to eat a salad with some protein. And then that's going to be breaking my fast. And then right before I work out, I'm going to eat like 2 apples, 2 bananas, a handful of blueberries, handful of blackberries, handful of raspberries, and maybe even a peach, whatever. That's all of that is carbs. People don't think because some people think carbs, they think bread, rice, cereal, sweets like cake and stuff like that. Yep. So like fruit, sugar is carbs. Fructose is in fruit. That's sugar. That's carbs. So on most days, will eat that salad with protein. Then right before I work out, a bunch of fruit. And then at night, I'll eat, a big bunch of protein because it's after my workout. And a lot of fat, like a whole avocado and stuff like that. And then like a sweet potato or 2. And that gives me a good breakdown. It's about 60% protein and then 20 and 20 of the fat and carbs. So that's going to have me nice and satiated so that I can last until, 2 o'clock the next day and break my fast then.
Right. So,
and then
so you're saying
repeat the cycle.
you can eat intuitively, but my problem with it is that I almost see it as like a hall pass to eat whatever you want. And my problem with this phrase listening to your body is that the body doesn't want you to be at peak performance. The body tells you to crave high calorie, high fat, high sugar food because the body wants to do one thing, survive, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think we are healthy eaters intuitively. I think, especially in today's society. So I think what you're doing is because you're so in tune with your body and you've reached that point where you can eat intuitively. I think telling the average Joe to eat intuitively is co-signing all their bullshit they're already doing.
Absolutely. So the only reason why, like someone would say that I'm not eating intuitively, and what I'm doing is I'm planning every meal and all this, and it's no, I've planned out as much as I can, and left, the world up to, let chance and whatever, the universe, whatever you want to say, things happen every day. Nothing ever goes exactly to plan, but like the things that I'm doing is preparing myself for what my plan is. So I'm planning my eating, but I've learned that I need that bit of carbs before my workout. I've learned that I like how I feel midday, breaking my fast with salad and some sort of protein.
Right. You've learned through trial and error, essentially.
Yeah. But I'm someone who's put in the time and effort to learn all of this and make it so that I'm going to set myself up for the most success possible. Right.
Right.
So I agree with what you're saying, that telling someone who's just starting in exercise to, eat intuitively. Well, that person, the fact that they're just starting exercise already tells me that they've already been intuitively eating, and that's why they're at the spot that they're at.
Right.
And
right.
because there's never been a point in my life where I wasn't exercising. I grew up playing sports, and in college I was working out. And then after college, I've continued to work out. And in college, I even played sports and worked out.
Right,
and that's just always been a part of my life. And it's only been through researching nutrition and mindfulness and meditation and stuff, because I want to optimize my performance, because I have the potential to be, top 100, top 50, top 25 in my weight class in the nation. So I need to, because those other guys that are in that category are also doing that. And they're
exactly.
Getting their
Right.
So there's no, but I can also say
you almost can't afford to be entirely intuitive.
Exactly.
Because those guys are dialed in. You got to be dialed in too.
And that's not to say that I didn't have pizza last weekend. You know,
there's room for that. But here's the thing: the sacrifices, quote unquote, you made during the week gave you that wiggle room and that window to enjoy that pizza and not have it set you back.
Exactly. And that pizza, even if it was adding 1,500 calories to a day that I already ate and all this, it's like, well, my body is going to gain that little bit, but it's not going to affect me because the rest of the time is so regimented and planned out and all of it. So how someone gets overweight is not because they crazy overeat all the freaking time. It's their body has a certain caloric need to survive, and each day they might only be eating 200 more calories than that. So 200 calories in one day, or in my case 1,500 calories in that one day, is not so.
Doesn't move the needle.
3,500 calories. 3,500 calories is like 1 pound of fat, right? So they eat 200 calories over what their body needs to survive each day. 200 times 7, 1,400. So over 2 weeks, they will gain a full pound. Over a year, that's 52 weeks. So cut that in half, they'll gain 25 pounds.
Yep.
So you're not getting fat from one meal. People are getting fat because they're eating
day after day after day after day, making bad choices, essentially. In some cases. Now, the topic of obesity and what makes people obese, it's a little more nuanced than just poor choices, but we'll get into that different.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like everything. But that's just like a simple to explain to someone, like, look, you're not a bad person. Like, you just you know what I mean? Like it's
not, you don't just lack willpower either. It's just you need more direction, essentially.
Yeah, we just need if you what is it? If you fail to plan,
plan to fail.
Yeah. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Exactly.
So all that is, all someone gaining 25 pounds over the course of a year is just someone who just was not planning their workouts. Like, if not planning their workouts, not planning their food. If we just give them a small baseline to follow, like, they can reverse that pretty easily. But again, just like they didn't gain all that weight in one meal, we're not going to fix it in one workout. We're not going to fix it with one meal. It's going to take that whole year, to lose that weight again.
And they need to be retaught before they can even think about eating intuitively.
Yeah. You have to be in tune with your body to eat intuitively. And if someone is just starting out exercising, well, I can tell you I guarantee they are not in tune with their body.
Definitely not.
What they're doing is listening to their gut, which right now the gut bacteria is telling them, we need more sugar, we need more of this, because that's what we've been fed, and that's the bad bacteria is winning. And
honestly, it's not the human's fault that they're fat, it's their bacteria's fault.
Yeah, exactly. So again, there's all the what's the blame. We put it all on the bacteria. So it's not even a cell that is you that's in your body. It's cells that aren't you.
So it's not your fault. But it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, because you fed that bacteria, and that's why it's winning in the battle in your brain.
Exactly. So. All right, buddy. I got one last question here. So I want you to imagine, and I don't know if you plan on having kids one day or not, but imagine, it doesn't have to be a kid. It could be a kid or just a loved one. And imagine, pretty morbid here, you're going to die tomorrow. And they said, all right, tell me 3 things to do for the rest of my life to stay healthy. I swear to God, if you tell me these 3 things, I will follow them to a T. What are the 3 things I need to know?
So this one, like, really means a lot to me. And I've been thinking about this, since you sent me that. And it because there's so many things that I wish I knew when I was, in college, going through what I was going through, and the hope is that if I have kids, say they're 7 years old and I'm having this conversation with them because I'm dying the next day.
Right.
The hope is that I've been raising them and setting the example to do the things like take those vitamins and drink a lot of water and go out in the sun and be barefoot and connect with the earth and eat, all natural foods, not even so much so just by telling them those things, but by doing them myself and living by example. And so the way I'm hoping that this 7-year-old has seen all of those things, and this might be a little bit different of an answer than you thought. And it's bringing the tears on. Like that's you're not your thoughts, I think, might be the first one.
Okay, I like that. And that definitely goes back to you in college, right?
Yeah. This is it's like, because my beliefs and stuff, like I'm a reincarnation of my father, who is a reincarnation of his father, who is and so then this person, I'm have a feeling like they're going to deal with a lot of the things that I dealt with up here, because
right.
It wasn't until I was able to kind of take a step back from that and realize, like, I don't have a thought. I am a beacon for these thoughts to come in, and these thoughts are actually not who I am. So like a negative thought that comes in, I didn't have that thought. It just came to me. But also a positive thought, unless it was me looking at that thought and changing that thought, like, I also can't take credit for that. Like, I feel we are like a beacon, and ideas are being sent to us. And that understanding, whether anybody believes that or not, has helped me a lot in changing who I am and just being a better person overall. And so,
okay,
you're not your thoughts. I think meditation is the most important part of all of this.
So it sounds like
it's a lot more
you're hoping that they get the nutrition and the health and the exercise aspect just by example, because you're obviously going to be living that every day. What's harder to transmit to them and is the stuff we're talking about now, is the stuff going inside of their own heads, because you can't put them inside of your head and how you think now and how you've overcome the stuff that you had to go through it. So I see where you're going with this, and this is actually pretty profound that you went here, and I appreciate it.
I've been to a lot of dark places, and most of them were inside my own head. And mindfulness and consciousness and meditation, all these things that, whatever you want to call it, has helped me more than anything, and has to be able to be in the space between my thoughts. That's what I'm talking about when, like, everything is love, and when we can fully love ourselves, we can accept all the love from the universe. And heaven and hell is not, in my belief, when we die. Like, it's right here. And meditation and mindfulness has helped me to live an incredibly different life. Like, I've been to hell, and now every day is beautiful. No matter what happens, I'm just so grateful that I wake up in the morning. And that, like we said before, is worth more than anything.
Any amount of money.
So you're not your thoughts. Meditate every day.
Love.
And treat everybody with love in your heart.
It's a great way to end it, man. Awesome. Where can we find you, man? Tell the people.
Now out of the profound into the beautiful
into the plug.
part of my humor. My Instagram is I am naked because I'm the naked DJ. On YouTube, type in Free Yourself Podcast and you can see all the episodes there. And Spotify, the Remote Controllers is my duo. We have 2 songs out on Spotify. So type in the Remote Controllers and you can see the music we've released. And I don't know when the podcast is coming out, but Saturday, Graffiti Pier in Philly, big show with all the homies. I'm freaking pumped.
Nice.
Shout out Sam Ciroc and my boy Hef, Bad Proxy, Mr. J, all the homies. It's gonna be I'm so pumped. That is, but most importantly, I am naked on Instagram and Free Yourself Podcast on YouTube. Those
awesome,
are the things that that are from my heart.
Awesome, man. Well, dude, it's been a pleasure. Great catching up with you. Look forward to following you from now until who knows, our bodies transcend our corporeal forms and we go somewhere else. But it's been a great, man, doing this podcast with you. If you told us this like 12 years ago, how cool we'd be, like freaked out, like can't believe
right.
It's been a pleasure, man. I'll be hopping on your podcast in the near future, so we get to talk again. And man, just looking forward to going through this journey with you. It's been awesome.
Hell yeah, man! Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I love you to death, brother.
Love you too, man.
It's a pleasure catching up with you.
Love you, man. All right, thanks, guys. Doc Made Diet podcast, episode number 18. Hope you enjoyed my first guest. I sure as hell did. I'll see you next week.